Hi, David.
Hi, Meta. How are you doing?
Doing great. You're number one. Isn't that
Well,
you're such a reliable guy? Hi, and now I get to see your house. I've seen a beautiful place with a lot of greenery.
well,
Uh,
that was
now you're in a
upstairs.
different
I
room.
banished myself to the basement now, this is our one finished room in the basement. There's some of
That's,
my pottery at the far end,
oh
and
yeah,
it's a little bit of art from Sakakigame. And anyway, yeah,
yeah. What is that wall hanging behind you?
the
Texture,
tapestry or the
the
carving.
tapestry. Yeah.
So that is bear and fish, spirit bear and fish and bird. And so that's JC Kakigame, um, the artist.
Is that something you got in Quebec?
Something I got in Moosonee, actually.
I thought it was Quebec where you lived with the native people.
No, it was James Bay.
Was it?
So
Oh,
the Ontario side. So I was from Moose Factory up to Peawanuck and Hudson Bay.
got my iPad is telling me it's time to turn on my computer.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So anyway, so you were up there how long?
Close to 3 years.
Really? Do, is there some language that you need to learn to live with those folks?
English. Um, the native language is uh, Swampy Cree, but there's different dialects. So in Moose Factory, they use the L dialect, which is there's a lot of people from the east coast of James Bay who are Naskapi, closer to the Innu, and on the west coast they are Cree. They're all Cree, but they're different dialects depending of.
But do they, when they're at home, do they speak English or their language?
Depends how colonized they are. Uh, Probably mostly English, but because a lot of the Cree is lost, but there's certainly a move in they have I mean the James Bay Lowlands School Board is all local, and so there's definitely a push now. Not so much when I was there. It was certainly very colonized then. The Indian agent there was an old Rhodesia hand, and you could easily have changed the name from Indian Affairs to the Canadian Colonial Office, and it would be the same thing. But there are certainly decolonization moves now, with from well certainly in education, so a lot more movement to um, have Cree language instruction, for instance, and and so on. I mean, the people that I worked with, many of them had the privilege of being taught in English by French-speaking lay teachers, lay nuns, lay. I guess they're part of the Catholic order, but not nuns. So there was that disadvantage there. But nevertheless, brilliant people.
Here we have a newcomer. He's a regular comer. Hi, James. This
Hi,
is
Meta.
James Simeon and David Berman.
Hello.
Both of
Good
you live
evening.
here in Toronto. You may already be acquainted. Do you know each other?
No, I can't say we do.
No. James has just finished a stint as the head of McLaughlin College at York. He's a political scientist working on forced migration. And he's been on my talk show several times and just consented to do it again. I mean, I'm using him up quickly. And David Berman is my God, I don't even know how to announce you, how to describe you.
I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up.
Yeah, I figured that. He's already a retired dentist, but we've been talking about his interest in Indigenous people because he lived in Moosonee with people up there for 3 years and has been teaching courses on Indigenous health issues ever since. And he was on the steering committee of Science for Peace when I was the president. Have I got enough of the details in there, David?
Oh, there's a few more, but yeah, that'll do for now.
That's a
Very
very
good.
important topic.
Very topical indeed, yes. Talk
Yeah,
about forced migration, that's been going on for the last 300 years in this part of the world.
yeah.
More or less, yes.
Yeah, well, David is going to be the one of the two co-chairs for global warming. Oh, here comes Sharina, and you get to meet Sharina, your partner, James, because she's also going to work on governance.
She's from Georgia.
Yes, she's in Tbilisi, I imagine. Hello, Sharina.
Hello. So nice to see you all.
How are you?
I'm fine. I'm fine. How
Good.
are you?
That's wonderful. I want to introduce you to your co-editor partner, James Simeon.
Pleasure to meet you.
Very great pleasure. Absolutely.
James is a recent head of McLaughlin College. Now I guess you're going to loaf all day, right? You don't have anything to do anymore, right? Now that they
Yeah,
took your college away from you.
you're keeping me busy, Meta.
That's great. Sharina, tell us what you're, oh, and this is David Berman here in Toronto with us. He's going to be working on global warming. And Sharina, tell us a little bit about what you are doing these days.
Yeah, thank you, Meta. I'm very happy and privileged to be with you. So I have a master's degree in international relations. I'm finalizing my PhD on development, international assistance, and its implications and influences on state building processes in our world, this part of the world. But at the same time, I'm lecturing. I'm founder of several NGOs. One of them, is actively working on. This is Civil Council on Defense and Security. We work on security sector governance and reform, democratic oversight of the security sector, and one of the direction is also nuclear security, radiological. So we do a lot of facilitation and discussion between academia, business, and government in this respect. And also I'm consultant to World Bank Compliance Advisory Ombudsman Office, where I'm mediator, local mediator actually for their disputes between companies having funding from World Bank and IFC and local communities where their projects going. So I mean, that's very interesting experience for me as well. So I was personally involved in several mediation processes here in the region, in Georgia, in one more or less in Armenia. So that was great. So this is more or less, and I'm quite active in civil society, but mainly as kind of educator, trainer, consultant. So yeah, and democratization issues and political development analysis also is part of my job. Yeah, thanks.
Here comes Paul Meyer, just in time to have missed what Sharina has to say. But hello, Paul. Hi, Paul.
Hi.
Good you're here.
Hello.
Let me start introducing you from on my screen. It's from left to right. David Berman here in Toronto. He's going to be working on global warming along with Brad Bass. Oh, here comes another one. We're getting our full list of people here. Wait till I get Ole Hendrickson here, and then I'll start over. Actually, Sharina was just telling me a little bit about herself. Hello, Ole. Good to see you. You want to unmute yourself and say hello?
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hello.
Okay, Ole, you're in Quebec someplace. I don't think I know, out in the country someplace, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm at a cottage on in the municipality of L'Île-aux-Allumettes, in the middle of the Ottawa River.
Oh, really? On an island?
Yes.
Really? Okay. Well, good. Okay, so you're going to be handling Gordon. Gordon's going to be our board of directors man for radioactive contamination, and you're going to handle the editorship, right? So
Yeah, yeah. Adam's
mhm,
really already very active on that. So
yeah, good. All right, we'll look at the website in a bit when other people all arrive here. And I don't know how to start. Paul, maybe you can say a little bit about yourself. Oh, here comes Jill Carr Harris, who's someplace in India, I think. So let's get her started. And I have a new person who's going to join her to work on civil society, somebody in Venezuela. And Alba Puroy, I think is her name. Both of them seem to be working a lot on groups that promote nonviolent struggle or something. Hello, Jill.
Hi there.
Hi.
Hello, Jill. So nice to see
Hi.
you.
Hi, Sharina. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm so
Well,
happy.
that's right. You guys know each other. Sharina and Jill are already friends, right?
Yeah.
From
yeah,
Georgia.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's how I met. In fact, I think you recommended. So Jill is of Georgian background and goes there quite a bit, but she actually works. Jill, how do we do this? Why don't you say a little bit about yourself, and then I'll ask Paul to do so.
Great. Well, hello, everybody. Pleasure to be here. I'm right now in South India, in the state of Tamil Nadu, the city of Madurai. And here I work in a small institute called the International Gandhi Institute for Nonviolence and Peace. And some of the projects we're taking up is training teachers and people in peace education or peace and transformation. We're also, at the moment, we have a large project called Building the Nonviolent Economy Network. So we're trying to bring together various, 300 groups have come together across South India who really believe that local peace economy as opposed to a war economy, a inclusive economy is the way we should be moving. And so we're doing a number of projects together, one of which is we have a huge fair expo coming up next month, which will bring together 120 producers, thousands of youth, and general public across the southern part of India to really look at different cases of how to build small, sustainable initiatives and strengthen what we see as an alternative economy emerging. Because this is the place of Gandhi's economist, J.C. Kumarappa, we have termed it the nonviolent economy. That's the term he used. What we mean by that is we're looking for another narrative to the global economy and the normal mainstream economic relations where people can live more peacefully and with more cooperation, less competition, with more local and more sustainability.
And you're working mostly with women, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
Yeah, another project that I worked on for many, many years is helping women to get small plots of land and become small farmers, because in India, land gives you status. And so part of the reason that there's so much gender inequality is women move into the male's home and never have status. So they're invisible and they can't really say anything, because if they say anything that disrupts the family, they can be pushed out easily because they're not a land or property holder. So yeah, we've been working on that and making women are basically farmers in India, because most of the now in the small farm sector, women are often the head of household, men are out migrating. So yeah, so they're
Thank
very
you.
primary. Thank you.
Thank you,
Sorry to
dear.
take so long.
Yeah, we'll,
Yeah.
okay, I want to go on to Paul Meyer. You need to unmute yourself and tell us.
Yeah,
Paul
sure.
just had an article.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm focusing on cyber risks. I've been interested in how sort of new technology is accommodated in the international system, and I think we all recognize that the cyberspace, the internet, if you will, and related computers networks are a very potent technology, but sort of like all technologies can be employed in beneficial or malicious purposes. So I've been essentially trying to track the diplomacy of international cybersecurity, and ideally making some contributions to moving to a greater cooperative ethos in international cyberspace. So there's a lot there to keep track of, but I'm finding it satisfying, and it seems to be taking on, I would say, a higher profile generally in the media and elsewhere.
Good. Yeah, and Paul has been Canada's ambassador for disarmament, and more recently he's been teaching at or doing research at the what do you call it? This Jennifer Simons.
No, actually, I have an affiliation with Simon Fraser University in Vancouver, with the School for International Studies, where I have been teaching a course on diplomacy for a number of years, and find some time also for some writing and research, which I much appreciate the facilities there that are available to me as an adjunct professor.
He just sent me an article for the magazine. It was just wonderful because I could use it. We're getting ready for the October issue. So thank you, Paul. That's great. Okay, now let's say Ole Hendrickson. Tell us about you.
Not a lot to say. I got involved in radioactive contamination matters maybe 40 years ago when I moved to the Upper Ottawa Valley, which is very close to the Chalk River Nuclear Laboratories. And the more you learn about the topic, the more you realize that Chalk River was sort of ground zero for the whole nuclear weapons and nuclear reactor development around the world. This is where the UK and French scientists learned how to make nuclear weapons and went back to their own countries and proceeded to do so. So I'm not an expert on radioactive contamination in other parts of the world, but I know others who know a lot more about that than I do. And there's really quite good material already on the Project Save the World website about this topic. So in terms of institutional affiliations, I'm been a volunteer for many years with a tiny little civil society group called Concerned Citizens of Renfrew County and area. And right now, I'm also president of Sierra Club Canada Foundation, which works on these issues a bit.
And you also are big on biodiversity, right?
Well, I used to be Canada's science focal point for the UN, the Convention on Biological Diversity, but I retired from that job about 10 years ago, but I'm sort of keeping half an eye on it, and particularly with the Global Nature Summit, COP15, coming up in Montreal this December. I think people are going to be hearing a lot more about biodiversity, its relation to climate change, and other issues.
You know, we ought to really have a whole separate issue or threat on biodiversity, but I don't think I want to start fooling with the structure of the organization to that extent, but it's certainly, otherwise we put it in with global warming, but it, doesn't necessarily belong there. But people should certainly be using the the website comments columns to share information. And that, I think, is where we'll want to put direct people who want to post things about biodiversity, is probably in global warming. I mean, do you know of a better place? I don't. It should have its own page, but I don't think we're going to do that.
That works for me.
Okay, all right. There is a connection, but it's a little tenuous. Well, thank you so much. Now, let's see. James, tell us about your work. What is this? David Berman, you've got a chat thing here. Oh, you're okay. Do you want to speak, David, about what this thing is you posted on the chat or not?
Sure. So you're talking about looking for an alternative narrative to a competitive capitalist economy. And certainly Rebecca Adamson, she had a whole thing on indigenous economics. And it's just very interesting. There's a very beautiful, concise 5-minute video that animatedly shows how traditional economies, which are non-hierarchical, which are collaborative, contrast to the pyramid type competitive system that is at the heart of colonialism. And so anyway, I just put it out there. It's a very lovely lecture that she gave.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe there's something we needed to talk about now, but okay. Why don't you
Good.
tell us, tell everybody a little bit about yourself now, before we go on. And then I'll ask James to speak a little.
Well, okay. So I guess in terms of global warming, I've been involved with Project Drawdown and Drawdown Toronto, which is research based. I guess in answer to the question is it possible to reverse global warming? And through extensive research of the peer-reviewed literature, looking at it from position of gigatons of carbon removed from the atmosphere, the cost of implementation, and the money saved through implementing, the answer was yes, we can. And the tools we need are already at our disposal. They already have been shown to be effective within the literature, and also, but need to be scaled to be effective. And so that has become the kind of go-to site for data. And we in Toronto, we've been working on some aspects of that, particularly most recently refrigerants, because this may seem like a technical kind of arcane topic, seeing it's within the Montreal Protocol and the Kigali Amendment. However, industry has been dragging its feet and been very slow to adopt non-global warming potential refrigerants, which are up to 10,000 times more potent greenhouse gases than CO2. So that's something we're working on at the moment in supermarkets, hockey rinks, and a number of things. Anyway, that's just a little drop. There's a whole bunch of other threads in my conversation. However, I'll leave it at that for the moment.
Thank you. James Simeon, tell us a little bit about what you're going to do with your life now that you're no longer head of a college.
Well, I'm going to be teaching this fall. I do a course on the International Refugee Protection Regime. And it's the experiential education course, which means students get an opportunity to work on real projects. We have a research project on the online research and teaching tool that deals with forced migration, which is part of CARFM, the Canadian Association for Refugees and Forced Migration. And I'm the vice president of that. One of the prime drivers in terms of forced migration, of course, is extreme political violence or protracted armed conflict or war. And I've been looking at the subject of how do you address the world refugee crises through trying to bring an end to hostilities. So that's what I've been focusing on, and looking at things like the triple nexus and looking at different theories of
What is the triple
more
nexus?
resilient and self-reliant and peaceful world.
Okay, thank you. Okay, here comes Brad Bass, who's just joined us. And Brad is also going to be sharing a co-editorship with David on global warming issues. So we're each saying a little bit about ourselves. So take a minute or so and tell us who you are, Brad. Come on, you just went blank. Come on, turn your camera back on and I don't know whether you're muted or not. I don't see that. Go ahead, say something. Brad? Can you hear me? Brad? Okay, maybe I should give up. Well,
I think he's using his phone.
I don't know. We'll come back to you later. I'll tell you what I think we should do. Let me show you the website, and then I'll tell you a little bit about the board that will be coming into play soon. Okay, so here's our website, and I'll run through it. And you've got a search bar here. You can do anything. Like here, if I put 488. And that's going to say, it's going to take me to episode 488, which is about diseases that transmit from people to that's pandemic, that's in our pandemics area. So you can enter, or you could enter something like that. If I put in Brad Bass.
Heather, could you share your screen, please? Because we can't see what you're seeing.
Oh, I beg your pardon. I'm so sorry. I do this all the time. Now, how do I go back to Zoom? Where'd my whole thing go? Where are you? Oh, here we are. Okay, I beg your pardon. I forget to turn on the screen share. So, all right. So I wanted to show you our website. Now, can you see my screen? Can everybody see this? My
Yes, we can.
well,
Yep,
right.
you're good now.
Okay, so if I enter somebody like Brad Bass, it'll tell me something about Brad Bass. You see, so, or whatever you want to, this is a really good search bar. So let's go back to the home page again, or go backward to here we are on the home page. And this is a slideshow that keeps showing our 6 global threats. And here is our directory that we've just changed the look of it. So many here, if you want to see videos, you click on videos. And then it says, well, which kind of video do you want to look at? You want something about global warming or radioactive contamination or what? So suppose I say, I want to see videos about radioactive contamination. So this will be the most recent one on radioactive contamination. And then here are some others that are about radioactive contamination. And you could click on any of them. These are earlier ones before I started making these little posters at the beginning, but now they all have these colored posters on them. Okay. If you click on one, let's watch Ole Hendrickson.
Great concern
There he
to
is.
the disarmament community.
Okay,
as
so
well.
let's go backward. And up here, you go backward, right? And let's go back forward to here. So that's how we do it. Civil society, let's see what videos we might see there. There's one on corporate power and civil society. And here's James Simeon, etc. Okay, so and now if you wanted, a lot of you will want to spend most of your attention checking this every now and then, public comments, because people can post things, and we really want to get people to using this more. The whole reason it's not for our own sake, because if it's of value to people, we want it to be of value to people, and we want them to know about it so that they will use it. But if we want to have to look at the comments about, let's say, famine, we would click on this and it will take us, hurry, come on. There we go. How to post a comment. All right, so if anybody wants to post a comment, here are the instructions. You scroll down and I could post a new comment here. And here's one, the last one in this section on famine was somebody back in 2019. So we don't have a lot of comments on this. You can attach photos with one of those little paper clips. Is that a paper clip? Where's a paper clip? Is that a paper clip? No, that's a link. Where's a paper clip? I don't see a paper clip. Do you? Is that a paper clip? It doesn't look right. It's supposed to be a paper clip so that if you want to attach a photo, you can do it.
Yeah, there's one at the top, Meta. If you scroll up, see just above, post a comment.
Oh, here we go. There you
Yeah.
go. So you could attach a photo if you want. Okay. So now one of the little issues that we have with our webmaster, who's a guy named Rahul, is that now these are the things you could type in your headline and then select it and then click this and it will turn it into a boldface. But that's about the best we can do with this thing. What I'm trying to get him to do is fix it so that we can make a big headline for each article and have a thing that would say headline. You could click and turn it to a headline. But he says he's got to change plugins, and there are plugins that will do it, but he said it's you have to migrate all. We have over 1,000 posts already that are people who've commented, and migrating those 1,000 posts to the new plugin is challenging. So he hasn't been able to get it done yet, but that's where things stand. So if you want, say, to post something on, I mean, James and Sharina, every now and then, one of them will, every couple of weeks, will go and have a look and see what's the most recent post that anybody's made on governance. And this is a guy in Moscow, Viktor Kogonyasny. He was troubled by the beginning of the war. And so back in January, even before the war started, he was posting things here. Here's somebody named Glenn Anderson who's anybody who wants to make a reply can do this. Who's somebody named Gerstein? Somebody's joining us. Hello? Where are we? No. Hello, Gerstein. Who are you? Hello? Okay. I'm gonna close this window, see if I can find back to the meeting. Oh, here we are. I pushed it aside. Who is this? Hello? Unmute yourself if you want to talk to me. I don't know who you are. Hello? Maybe it's somebody who just happens to be breezing in here and doesn't know we got a meeting going on.
No, I think this is maybe Brad. He said that he will leave and join with different account, maybe.
Oh, Brad, are you there? Is it Brad? Well, anyway, I can't help you. You got to unmute yourself to make it work. Okay. Well, anyway, so let me go back to Save the World, our homepage. And you can see these are, you can just explore around here. This will tell you who we are and about the Global Town Hall, etc. So I don't know whether you want me to explore it with you, but you can do it on your own. Here are your photos. Those of you who provided me a photo and a bio, some of you have yet to do so. And I want them. So we can put your photo up here and also now let's say learn more about James Simeon, and it's going to give us a little bio on James, okay? Not very long, but it's enough so that it'll help. And we will then, we will eventually have all of the photos as well of our new board of directors. So I think that's all I need to show you for this. So why don't I tell you who these people are? Well, let me go through who you are in terms of what I have about you. We're supposed to ideally have two editors, co-editors for each of the global threats. In this case, we're going to have three for the time being. Aaron Tovish can't do much for the next few months, but we have a guy in Moscow who's going to be sharing the work with John Hallam, who's in Australia, except today he's probably in New York City at the NPT. But Alexei, I don't really want to use his photo or name on the website because it could get him in deep trouble. You know, he 15 years in prison for using the word war, for example. So, but he will be functioning, just not very publicly. I don't want to use his name. Brad, if you're here, this is about you. For global warming, we have two of you, Brad and David Berman. And this little thing tells you the bio that you've sent me. And here, if you want to see each other, this is a link to a video that I've made with you. And here we have your phone number and your email address for each of you in this column. So that's true for Brad and for David. I don't have anybody yet for famine, but I just yesterday recruited Vinay Jindal to be a co-editor. He can't be with us today. He's a family physician, I think in Scarborough, but he will be one of the co-editors for pandemics. And I'll get a bio and a photo of him sometime soon. I'm looking to recruit more people, both for famine and one more for pandemics. Radioactive risks, here we have Ole and a woman named Trisha Pritikin, who's in Berkeley, California. She lives in bed mostly. She was exposed to Hanford radiation in utero, and her mother and father and brother died of it, and she's been sick all her life. But she's a lawyer, and she wrote a book about it, and even went to court and got little compensation for thousands of victims of the Hanford exposure. So she's very interested in radioactive risks, and she'll be sharing some responsibility with Ole, who's going to be, I mean, you're going to get in touch with each other and decide how you want to divide up the work. Cyber risks, we have here Paul Meyer. John Daniele may be a little busy right now, but he will eventually be with us more. John is.
Excuse me, I just had a question. Is this publicly available, this information about the editors?
I sent it to everybody, so you should have a copy of this.
Yeah, no, I'm saying though, is it accessible for those who just go onto the site?
It will be, well, theoretically, it's going to be, because those, when I have the photos, it says section editor, you see?
Okay, no, just this information. I don't want my phone number listed, there. I'll give
Right,
you
no,
another one. So I mean, I just you
We
have
won't.
to, yeah,
Right.
you have to take that into account.
No, I won't, we won't put the phone number or this, either of these two columns, but just what you gave us.
Yeah,
Me
okay.
to put there, which you've already sent me, and it's there,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
other people
okay.
haven't. Jill. for
Yeah, I
example.
just don't want the that public contact information.
Right,
There.
I understand, of course.
Okay.
Anyway, so Jill, and we'll be sharing work on civil society with a woman in Venezuela named Alba Puroy. And she's also somebody who's done a lot of work in nonviolence. She's an organizer of, I think, also of women. So you have a lot in common. So anyway, you should be in touch with each other and decide how you're going to share the work. Now, don't make this into a full-time job, because should be a very minor part of your life. I think I can close this one now. We've seen it. Because it should only take a couple of hours a month. You should every now and then, every couple of weeks, check and make sure that the comments that people have been posting are decent, not rude or ads or dirty pictures or something. And maybe not crazy. And sometimes we don't have many people who are pornographers, but we every now and then have some climate change denier or somebody with a really loony idea. So you're going to have to decide for yourself, is this post something that we should just take down, or should, in the name of free speech, should we leave it up? And it's just up to you. I don't have any guidelines for that. So you decide whether you want to have us take it down. And if you want it taken down, just tell Adam and he'll remove it. The name of the game is to try to increase the traffic to the website. And if you see something you want to post there, that's great. And in fact, you of course could post on somebody else's page if you want. That's not a duty to post anything, but it's nice if you do sometimes. So that shouldn't take you more than 10 minutes a couple of times a month to check that. What is more time consuming would be if you want to put on a talk show, because I'm not going to be in this business forever. I've done 489 talk shows so far, and I'm still having fun with it, but time is marching on. And people who want to put on a talk show, we really encourage you to discuss something about your issue with some of your friends on Zoom, and then send it to Adam, and he'll edit it and put it up on our website and on YouTube and that sort of thing. So anytime you want to put on a talk show, let us know and plan to do it, and he'll help you, or I'll help you do it. I'll do it with you at first if you want, because I'm used to it and kind of enjoy it. So be very free about doing that, but again, don't make it into some big challenge. And then our magazine comes out quarterly. It's now online only, no longer print. So we're eager to get articles, and I'd like to have one short article about every global issue in every issue of the magazine. So Paul just sent me a nice, good article about the work going on at the UN to try to regulate cyberspace. Maybe that's not the way to put it, but do you want to talk a bit about that, Paul, or not? Describe that paper and what you're interested in.
I don't think I have to go into any detail on it. I mean, eventually it will come out. It's just a commentary on where the UN process relating to the question of cybersecurity policy stands at the moment. There's an open-ended working group. That's a mechanism. It's active this year and next year, and then we'll make a report to the UN General Assembly next fall if it can agree on one. So it's the most prominent sort of diplomatic process at the moment relating to cybersecurity.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's extremely important, I think. So send us an article, or if you can find somebody who wants to write. Each page could be like 600 words with a photo or something like that. So it'd be good to get something for each issue of the magazine. And the issues come out January, July, October, January, July, January. I'm leaving out one. April, January, April, July, and October. And for the deadline, theoretically, more or less deadline, is about a month before the date of publication. So for the October issue, it'd be good to have something early in September. So we can, it takes a while to put it together. So if you can send us an article that you want to write, or get one of your friends to write about some aspect of your issue. And every now and then I will publish a newsletter, which will go out to specific, all of the organizations that we have on our mailing list, promoting our activities and drawing attention to what we're doing. So the magazine is part of the, expectation, if you will. A talk show now and then, if you will. Check the website and contribute if you see something. And then if you have a mailing list of any kind, people who are already in your network on your issue, we will send you the a PDF of the magazine, and I'd like for you to send it on to your entire mailing list if you can. Some people have issues with privacy, where the government says you can't send this to your list unless everybody on it has, or you can only send it to people who've agreed to receive it. And if they regard it as spam otherwise, but you have to figure out what is the case in your situation. Not everybody has that as a problem. Anyway, we want to disseminate the magazine to as many people as possible, and encourage people to post things and to read and to engage in replies and debate and whatever on the comments column. Now, we're going through a reorganization. Peace Magazine has existed for close to 40 years, but and we have a board of directors and are incorporated in Ontario. But it's obviously not the whole story now, because we have what has become Project Save the World. That is, we've added 5 global threats plus economics, governance, and civil society as issues that we address besides war and weapons. And so we've expanded in our mandate, and the government of Ontario requires us to re-establish ourselves, our corporate status. They want everybody to reapply, not just us. So I'm talking with, I have talked to a lawyer, 2 lawyers, about how to reincorporate, and you don't need to be involved with that, but that's what's holding us up. When that is in place, we already have a number of people who've agreed to be on the board of directors, and they're very eminent people who won't be doing as much work as you're doing. And I hope you're not working too hard. I can show you who these people are. You may already be familiar with some of them. Let's see if I can enlarge this. And each board, there will be about 14 or 15 board members. And they're chosen for their expertise in one of the global threats or these policy sectors. So here we have Lloyd Axworthy for the governance, and you all know who he is. He was Canada's foreign minister back in the day. Radioactive risks, Ole knows Gordon Edwards at least, and I think most of the rest of us do too. Gordon Edwards is a mathematician. He has this thing called the Canadian Coalition for Nuclear Responsibility. And again, as with your thing, I show the mailing address and the phone number here, and a video that you can look at to see what people look like or whatever. Famine, our director will be Hilal Elver. She's a law professor at UCLA, and she was the UN Special Rapporteur on the Right to Food, and she's married to Richard Falk. John Pfeffer will be dealing with economics and has been already. He is the director of foreign policy and focus at the Institute for Policy Studies, which I think is the best progressive think tank anywhere. And I hope he will be my successor as chairman of the whole project Save the World when I am no longer functional. I've known him several years, and you'll find he's easy to get along with, and he has the qualities that make for a good editor, I think. We have two members at large, Mary Kaldor, whom many of you will recognize as a professor emeritus at LSE. She founded the Helsinki Citizens Assembly, where I was active for a number of years. And she's very influential in Europe now in terms of people who are talking about military policy from our point of view, more or less. David Miller was the mayor of Toronto, and now he was then the head of the C40 cities. He's organizing an institute on global warming for cities. And that's about it. I think he's living in Vancouver or someplace. Raja Gopal, I think Jill knows. That's her husband. And he is a Gandhian leader. And he's going to be the board member for civil society. Do you want to say a little bit about Rajaji, Jill? I think you are qualified to report on him. You know how to turn your button.
Yeah. So Raj Gopal is basically a Gandhian leader who has been mobilizing a very, very poor indigenous communities. There's almost 100 million indigenous people in India. Many of them have become displaced. And so he's been mobilizing them around their land and livelihood rights. And as a Gandhian leads these huge marches for justice and peace, he's been able to achieve a certain amount of land reform over the years. And he does this in a spirit of Gandhian style actions. And together we did a global campaign on the Jai Jagat during Gandhi's 150th birthday, which was a huge effort of bringing 50 people together for a year-long march through 10 countries to bring peace. Unfortunately, halfway through it was aborted by the coronavirus. But these are the kinds of nonviolent actions that he carries out.
Thank you. Okay, where are we? Francisco Wolf is a former student of mine. He worked at the World Bank, and then he had a very interesting job at some international development bank throughout Latin America. Now he lives in Brantford, looks after his mother, and works for some outfit that does sustainable construction, I think. And you know me, and you know Dr. Ronald St. John, who was the Director General of Canada's Emergency Preparedness. Well, you can read this. He's an epidemiologist, in other words, and he was in charge of the SARS epidemic when it happened in Canada, and was also the epidemiology head of the WHO for North and South America, Pan America. Peter Wadhams is a professor of, I don't know what, physics at Cambridge. And his area is sea ice, Arctic sea ice and methane emissions. He's been on my talk show quite a number of times, including yesterday. Did a very good talk show yesterday with a guy about how to keep the Arctic ice and Greenland from melting. Alan Ware, some of you know, he's in charge of Parliamentarian Network for Nuclear Disarmament and a number of other organizations in Europe. Very much a peace organizer. Paul Werbos is retired now, but he worked for the National Science Foundation for 20 years or so, and was really kind of in charge of deciding who got what funds. and therefore he has a very good overview of innovative research projects. He's quite familiar with that area. He's called in some circles the father of new artificial intelligence, because back 50 years ago, he wrote a PhD thesis on neural networks at Harvard. And that is the basis for the new AI. And he will be our cyber risks director. And Adam Wynn is my assistant. Probably you already know him because he does all my scheduling and that sort of thing. So when we have our first AGM, which all of you are of course invited to be members and to vote for these people or whatever, we will have our AGM, I hope, in September, as soon as I'm clear about our legal status. And these people will be elected as our new board members, I hope. And then we'll put their photos up with a little bio of themselves, just as your photos are already shown on the webpage. Is that about, I mean, do you have any questions right now about what I've been saying? Or anything else? Has Brad been able to get back to us? I still don't see Brad, so I guess we've lost him. Anyway, I'm recording this and I will send it to all the other people who weren't able to be with us on this. So let's.
May I ask one very technical question? So when we will be identifying certain things in the comments which are not appropriate, so what kind of action?
Send
do
a
we
note to
take?
Adam and say, take this thing down.
Okay,
He'll do it
so
for you.
yeah, we will just note
Yeah.
note about that. Yeah, okay.
It
And
may
one-
never, actually, it's not going to happen very often.
Yeah, but anyway, so
Yeah,
we will
yeah.
notice.
Uh-huh.
And another question is about the length of the articles in the Peace magazine. So is there any standard or just
Well, I would
people are-
say each page holds about 600 or 650 words plus
Words.
photo. And you can aim for 1 page or 2 pages or whatever you want. I mean,
Okay.
you can go like 10 pages, but I don't think you will.
Mhm, okay.
Try in terms of style, everything will be edited by the regular magazine editorial group anyway.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
if,
great.
for example, we have 2 articles that look, by different people, but they look exactly alike, we may say, well, we can't use them both. This
Mhm.
probably almost always, though, you can say that some form it will
Mhm.
appear. Try to aim for a style that's readable. If you
Mhm.
want to use personal pronouns, and talk about somebody and tell a story, I don't care, that's fine. Makes it more human. So don't worry about, it's not a professional journal. It doesn't need to impress any scientists or anybody else. It's meant for ordinary readers. So look at your newspaper, like the Globe and Mail, and the letters to the editor or the articles that are written there. The level of sophistication should be similar. Readability, try to make it something that even a grade 12 student could read, in high
Mhm.
school, if possible. Of course, sometimes you have to use chemical compounds or whatever. So yeah, we can be flexible, but is that all right? We through with that, Sharina? Is that adequate answer?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you
James,
very
you
much.
have your hand up, I think, wherever you are. Where'd you go? Oh, there you are. Unmute yourself
I
there.
have a suggestion, and hopefully Sharina is open to this. You said that we could do a talk show. And I'm wondering if you could host us and we could do either of your schmooze sessions, or we could identify something under our category of governance. And that would be a way of maybe getting us started.
Mhm.
And then if it works, I mean, you can use us as the guinea pigs or the pilot.
Mhm.
And then I would suggest to get everyone started, maybe that might be the format you might want to use with all the other pairs.
Mhm.
And then that might launch everybody into doing some episodes for you.
I think that's brilliant. Do you other, how do you other folks feel about that?
That's very good idea.
Uh-huh. Okay. Now, how shall we do it? Do you want to include, I mean, you may want to have the two of you plus somebody that you choose as a guest, that in effect, you're partly being the host to talk to
We
this
invite
person.
one of the directors, like in our case, it would be Lloyd Axworthy.
Okay, so let's get a show with Lloyd and you and Sharina. Get
Would that be
acquainted?
possible, you think?
I think so. We'll see.
Mhm.
He's a sweet guy. He doesn't always answer his emails, but you know, he means well. That's true of many of us nowadays. In fact, that is the biggest problem of all, is communicating with people and getting a you know, timely reply to something. So I don't know what to do to encourage it, but honestly, if we send out 100 emails and want a reply from people for each one, we might get 15 or 20 answers if we're lucky. And that's not because people hate us. That's just the way people are nowadays. And it's really a problem. I don't think there's a good solution. And it's getting worse because people sometimes they don't use email anyway. They use WhatsApp, or they use Messenger on Facebook, or, you know, their phone message system or something. And I never, you know, it's just, you can't keep track of where you heard this from somebody. But if you have any good ideas of how we can be, you know, prompt if we need to reach you in a hurry, that's the thing. We may have to just wind up phoning everybody individually. I hope not. Okay, we have another 5 or 6 minutes before I think we should wind up. So please, who's got something to share?
Yeah. So I wrote to, as I wrote to you, Netta, I wrote to Elif Shafak, this author. She's very good author, and actually this last book is also very interesting from this peace and war and everything point of view. So I'm waiting actually for her answer. If she agrees, I think that could be one show which could we can all organize in September, but I'm still waiting for confirmations from her. I have written on Twitter to her, on LinkedIn, everywhere.
Mhm.
I think that she has read these messages, and yeah, let's see. So she's also in my list, and maybe I'm thinking about some other people, but with James, maybe we could also coordinate. But I like this idea of talking to each other. I mean, to have this dialogue on these issues among each other. So I think that that's also a great idea. I think people we have here, they all are great, I think, and that could be also a good method.
Yeah, we could in fact have a whole group, a real orgy, you know, everybody together in one big show. That's a possibility too. By the way, Sharina, there's a guy named Zviad something, starts with
Yes,
an A.
yeah, I know him. Yes, very nice guy. Yeah,
He's going to
Georgian.
write an article
Oh, that's
for
great.
us for the next issue, I believe, on disinformation. So
Yeah, he's
Paul,
specialist
you
on
should be
that.
aware that we've got in addition to your article, we will have, I believe, an article from Zviad, who's, I think he's a postdoc at Tufts University or something like that.
So, yeah,
And,
he's in
and he
New
does
York.
work on Russian disinformation
Russian.
campaigns, which I think is really part of your bailiwick, Paul, as I understand it. But, you know, so many of you are not going to have exactly the same specialty. You know, if you're a pair, it's kind of good to have two people who have somewhat different interests, even though you're in the same area, you know. So Paul is certainly focusing on things like the UN efforts for diplomats to develop a regulatory system for reducing cyber warfare, or you know, that kind of thing. And other people will be talking about the bad effects of social media on the lives of children or something. You know, it could be quite different in orientation. So that's fine. The diversity is good. Anything else? Okay. I don't hear anybody wanting to put your hand up or say something more. Shall we call it a day? Or now I can send you this chat unless you can. How do you do this? How do I save it? Somebody, do you know how to save the chat? Surprised that Adam isn't with us. Adam is usually here, but anyway, I don't know how to save the chat.
I think it will be saved with the whole file. So
Will
when
it?
you will
All right.
send, so we will receive this chat box as
Okay.
well.
Okay, good. Well, I'll send you the link. I'll put this up unedited as an unlisted video on YouTube. And then I'll send you the YouTube link so you can watch it. And so can all the other people who aren't here today with us. Okay. Thank you all. I'm just
Thank
really
you.
delighted. I think I've got the best team in the world. So
Could I
Thank you
just
so much.
connect with Sharina? Maybe we could either exchange emails or chat on Zoom or something.
Absolutely. Yeah, of course. Yeah, sure.
great.
Mhm.
Okay, well, everybody, you should have each other's email address from that thing
Yeah.
that I sent you. Okay, mwah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very
Bye.
much.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.